Hey guys, it's Katie and I am joining the creative design team today to show you creative ways to use layers. Today's video is all about layers, and I have chosen these two photos to document. And the first thing I did was, because there's red, I usually don't scrapbook with a whole lot of red, I pulled out my For Love of Color book. And I looked up candy apple, and there are several options. So I chose the 5-color option, mainly because of my daughter's blue jean jacket and then my black jacket. So we've got candy apple, white daisy, lagoon, sapphire to represent the blue jean, and then black. So I just went through my stash and basically pulled a whole bunch of these colors. And so here is what we're working with. These are from several paper collections. I've got a sticker sheet here, and then I've also got some stencils. So my goal here is to not only layer papers, but also layer the stencils and then some embellishments and stuff like that. So hang on tight. I've even got these remnants of In Full Bloom, so you want to make sure you hang around and see how I utilize those. So let me clear my desk and we can get started. I'm going to start with just a plain sheet of white daisy cardstock, and then I have this In Full Bloom chipboard piece left over from all the gorgeous shapes, and I am just going to run some liquid adhesive mainly just around the edges. The good thing about these chipboard pieces is, number one, they're left over. You could trash them, or you can use them like I'm about to use them, which is not only as a layer, but it just adds excellent dimension. I'm just going to come hit and miss some of these middle pieces. Like I said, the majority of this will be hidden. I am just using it for a dimension. And I want it probably about 1/2 inch from that right side. So now I'm going to start bringing in my paper layers and my color. And so I'm just going to add just a thin bead of liquid adhesive on each side of this In Full Bloom die cut sheet. And I've cut this from, you know, the extremely Disney themed paper. It's got a stripe on the back side, and I just cut 1/4 inch pieces from it. Remember the photos that I'm using? It has red, so I just want tiny pieces of red. Usually I like to keep the colors that are in my photo, I like to keep those more like embellishing pieces. So I've got that down, and then I have built off camera, I have built this paper layer. So I've got 2 zip strips, then I've got some pattern paper I've inked on the edge, and then made sure when I applied it down with adhesive, I did not glue all the way to the edge, so I could kind of rough it up. And then this center piece is using 3D foam tape. So that has got a bunch of dimension and a bunch of layers. And we are going to get it glued down right there. Just going to turn this over and make sure that it's really pressed down back here. Our next layer is going to be my actual photos. So I have some 3D foam tape. I have thin 3D foam tape on the back of here, and then I have thicker 3D foam tape on the back of here. So that also creates that dimension and helps when you are layering. So I know that I'm going to have this backed with this lagoon. I have decided to bring in another layer of that lagoon pattern paper. So I am just going to adhere it down to this Candid Moments Sapphire paper. And I am going to put it about right there. And I'm going to just line it up by way of the polka dots, hoping the polka dots are straight. And then I can adhere it down to this piece. Now granted, remember I don't have anything around the edges because I might want to tuck some things in under there. So right now, this is probably where this is going to go. So that's where I need to bring in another layer, which is stamping and inking. I have brought out one of the stencil sheets. And I love these because it's a 12 by 12, and we do have 12 by 12 patterns, but I love that you can also just add little bitty pieces. So I'm going to be working with the hearts and then with these dots over here. I've also pulled out my Sapphire ink and my candy apple. And I am just going to start inking right about where I think this photo will show. And the reason I chose these two colors is because black and red would look too Valentine-y to me. I did not want to do that. And then Lagoon, I just felt like Lagoon was already right there by the photo mat. I don't want this on this red piece of paper, so I am going to just mask that off. I am just going to repeat the process with the red hearts as well, moving them around, trying to keep it in a triangle. I also brought my photo out and decided I needed another little grouping in the top right, which I did off camera. So I brought out the sticker sheet while I'm thinking about that other tab. I brought out the sticker sheet. And I'm going to try to use these stickers. So I love that this says dream. Thinking that's very appropriate for a little girl in her basketball career. It's just I don't know where to put it. I don't know whether to try to put it over here sideways or up over. I don't think I want it competing with the stenciling, so we are going to see about putting it right here. I know it's going to be much higher than my photo, but I've also got some other layers coming by way of die cuts, so, and stickers, and then of course those acrylic shapes. And then I'm also thinking about maybe bringing in a yellow or a gold or a silver or something like that. So you notice I'm not really sticking these down yet. I want to make sure that that's where I want it before I stick it down. And I think I am happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead, just really rub that down. And then I can bring out my die cuts and we're done. I used my Star Shaker Thin Cut to cut several star shapes. So I just used our silver paper, silver foil paper, and I've got a few sizes, even the little small ones. So another layer is going to be these die cuts, and then you can also, I'm going to actually build on these die cuts little embellishment options. So I'm just going to lay these stars around here, kind of sprinkle them in. And I love that the confetti actually gives you the insides of the stars, so you can use in the manner that I'm using them here. For this tab, I am just trimming around these circles. I know they're not even, but one of them will actually be hidden by this star. And we are going to tuck this underneath here. I think we're finally ready to finish this off. So I have used the #1 fan stamp set and thin cut to kind of create that little grouping on this largest star. So I have already cut out, you can see here, I've already stamped this one. It says proud, and I love it because there are several sentiments that you can use. And then I cut out a second one, and this is going to add a layer behind here. So not only using foam tape, but also using the actual shape to create the layer. So the first thing we want to do is we want to adhere this down, and I want that point in between the A and the M. No 3D foam tape, nothing. It tucks behind there, which then kind of creates that visual layer. And then I am going to start working on this. So like I said, I've already got that one assembled. So all I want to do is I want to sponge around this again to kind of create dimension. And then I want to adhere it to this non-stamped layer. And I love these because it fits perfectly. You just line it up at the bottom. If you use liquid adhesive, you can then pick it up and manipulate it so it is straight. So we've got that. And then it comes with the cutest little pole. I want it over a little further, so I think I'm going to have to actually cut it where it's not so tall. And I definitely want that ball up over the star. And then get that adhered down, and then we can start layering the actual flag. Okay, that appears to be pretty straight. And those little flags are kind of like the ties. So I'm going to have those positioned in a way that it looks like they're tying that flag to that. And then I'm going to use thin 3D foam tape for this layer. And that is just going to go right on top of here. And I'm going to kind of separate those ties a little bit. And then my next thing is I have this little sentiment, "You're awesome," from that same stamp set, #1 fan. I am going to dovetail. This is also going to be a flag on that little pole. So I'm going to dovetail it. And then I have to bring the lagoon over to that top corner. I have cut one of these flags, and I'm actually going to kind of maneuver it where it appears that it is meant to be like that. And then we will get that adhered down. So I'm just going to let that dry a little bit and kind of pick these things up. Thank you so much for hanging on this long. I just kind of had a whole bunch of stuff in my mind, and it needed to translate to my project, which isn't always easy, as we all know. So I'm just going to add some 3D foam tape, and I'm not doubling up on this layer, you can tell. And actually, I want to see how it will look if it's kind of tucked under there. So yeah, let's do that. So another thing to do, you can't just have pretty layers and not utilize them. So I have some of my thread jumbles tucked into various layers. So I'm going to tuck this in and get it adhered down, and then I'll walk you through what I mean by that. Okay, so this is what I mean. So see, this is under the first layer of my photo. This is under that first layer of the lagoon, and then this is under the very bottom layer. So you can utilize your layers like that. And so that is my layout. I've got lots of layers. I hope that you will try it out. There are tons of other options for layers, as you will see. That's why we, the Creative Design team, decided to feature layers this month on our channels. I'll leave links down below to all the products that I used if it's still available. I'll also leave links down below to the Creative Design Team playlist. And then I also want to remind you that if you're liking what you're seeing here, you actually get more exclusive content in our Creative Design Team membership group. Now, we've reopened that only for the month of March, so that will close on March 31st. We've already had a select group of women already in there in February, and they are loving what they are learning. So if that is you, I invite you to click the link down below, head over to our website and register, and you will start getting exclusive videos on Wednesday. Every Wednesday we post a video. Every Tuesday we post kind of a tips and tricks video. And then we also have challenges in there. So please, if you're liking this video as well as the other Creative Design Team members' videos, go ahead and join our group. We would love to have you. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment and a thumbs up. I always like to hear what you guys think. And sign up for notifications if you are a subscriber, so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video. Thanks, and have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.